for Tuesday, November 17, 2020. This is our first meeting for the month of November and our 16th meeting for 2020 and our 12th meeting thus far under the COVID pandemic. I draw your attention to the red emergency exit signs in the building. If we have an emergency, that is your way out. If you have an electronic device, a cell phone or other device, if you would silence, either turn it off or silence the ringer so it will not interrupt our meeting, we would appreciate it. There are some items on our agenda tonight for which there will be a public hearing. And I'm going to notify the public that may be viewing this meeting on the town's YouTube channel that they should make a note of the following phone number. And that number is area code 518-761-8225. Should they wish to call in to this telephone and give public comment, that would be the number to call, and I will remind folks of that when I open up the individual public hearings. Those of you presenting this evening, if when you come up to the podium, when you're done, if you would use one of the sanitary wipes to wipe the microphone off for the next speaker, we would appreciate it. And with that, we can begin our agenda. The first item, we have a few administrative items. The first being approval of minutes from September 15 and September 22 of 2020. I think we have a draft motion.
Motion to approve Town of Queensbury Planning Board minutes of September 15th and September 22nd, 2020.
Second it.
We have minutes approval, motion made and seconded. Is there any comment or adjustments to those minutes? Maria, can you call the vote for us, please?
Mr. Deeb?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Hunziker?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. Traver?
Yes. Next, we move to a couple of administrative items, requests for extensions. The first is Site Plan 19-2019 for Columbia Development. This is a request for a one-year extension. Is there someone representing that organization?
Good evening, Kevin Ronayne here on behalf of Saratoga Hospital.
Yes, good evening.
We've requested the extension. As you know, this is a further extension of our project at Exit 18. We were set to go and COVID hit. There are three components of this. One is that COVID has really slowed down our business model. We thought things were going to start coming back, and just as the business started to come back, COVID has come back. So we are basically on hold. We had also submitted to the State Department of Health for a certificate of need application for that project. We only just last week had our first communication back from the DOH with a list of questions that we need to respond to. And thirdly, as I noted, when we first submitted the site plan, Glens Falls was not part of our affiliation. They became part of our system on July 1st, so we are reassessing that project to make sure that we do something that is appropriate there for all the partners involved.
Understood. Okay. And this was originally approved just last year, so this is not a project that's been going year after year after year. I think folks are familiar. It's been, the issues with that site have been in the news recently. So they're asking for, we gave them evidently a 6-month extension. That was probably during the COVID, Laura, when I did a temporary approval. Correct. And now they're doing a formal request for a 1-year extension. Any questions or comments from members of the board?
Kevin's letter started out with saying this is an additional 6 month. The resolution says requesting an additional 1 year. I just want, whenever the resolution goes in, I think it's important, just as it's written, to make sure we get that end date in there. But it says that because when it says it there at the end, it says a 6-month extension was approved by the planning board on May 27th. I think the end date of this extension should be in the resolution, not to be confused if you look back in the record and see the letter and past dates in there.
So the end of that, good point. So the end of that 6-month extension would be 11/27.
2021.
So the new, if approved, the new extension expiry would be 11/27/21, right? Is that what you're, okay. Any other comments, concerns? Yes.
I think their letter of request requested 6 months.
It says a further 6 months. And that's what threw me off in the beginning. as
But the
I read it.
resolution says 1 year, so
The resolution says 1 year from that ending date of May 27th, 2020. So just as Steve said.
Yeah, they're asking for May 2021. The draft resolution says a year, so I guess I would ask the applicant,
We did originally request 6 months. If you would grant us a year, that would be even better.
okay. Doesn't cost anything extra from us, and that does give you a little more leeway. And I think, again, since this is just recently approved, and again, with all of the work, I think most of us are well aware of the issues that you have, so I think an extension to, my own feeling is an extension to November of 2021 is a reasonable request.
I agree.
Yes,
Your last comment and the article in the paper suggested that the project as originally proposed will never go forward. So why are you requesting a 1-year extension?
No, we are in the process of reassessing how we will use that building. So I wouldn't say that the project won't go forward. What I'm saying is that the building may house different specialties or different services.
I understand.
they may come back with a modification, site plan modification, so,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I'd just like to make a comment. I am just totally amazed of the 3 huge organizations that were involved in this merger type thing, and nothing ever slipped out about it. So, I mean, that was very tight-lipped negotiations going on between Albany Med, Saratoga, and Glens Falls. And like I said, you know, you're here asking for 6 months, and they were working the deals. And I'm just amazed nothing slipped, and someone said, hey, why don't we, you know, get ahead? So that's good hospital work, I have to say.
I can't take any credit for that.
Well, you should.
Any other comments or questions? All right, we have a draft resolution.
Motion to approve a 1-year extension to 11/27/2021. 2021. For site plan 19-2020, Columbia Development.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yep. Can you clarify did you clarify the end date?
Yes.
Yes, right in the beginning.
Yeah, 11/27/21.
Thank you.
No faith, Laura, no faith.
Maria, can you call the vote for us, please?
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Hunzinger?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. Deeb?
Yes.
Mr. Traver?
Yes. You're all set.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I want to say is that's good, I should have said, that's good HIPAA laws.
Thank you. Next, we have another request for extension from Dunham's Bay Road, site plan 63-2019. Laura?
Okay. So Mr. Fuller isn't able to attend, so he writes the letter. I see the above application is on the planning board agenda for November 17th. Unfortunately, I have to be at a town board meeting in Stony Creek that evening as we represent the town of Stony Creek. I am writing to ask the planning board to grant us a 1-year extension on the approvals. We are actually finalizing contracts right now to commence the work which we expect to have completed by May 1st of 2021. And he's asking for a 1-year extension.
Okay, so the draft resolution says we approved it November 26th of this year, which is not possible, but I think it should be 2019, if I'm correct, right, Laura? So we approved it originally last year, November of last year, and they're asking for a 1-year extension.
Seen that one.
And there's no one here. It's fairly straightforward. They did send us a letter. And again, this is their first request. They were just approved last year. Does anyone have any issues with granting them?
I don't.
None.
Doesn't seem like a year ago.
Okay,
Legitimate request, first request.
yeah. Yeah, it's their first request, and
And they
we've already, Laura's office has gotten a lot of requests she's reporting because of COVID and various other issues, so, and this is only an initial one-year request, so they haven't been around for years and years. Does anyone have any questions or concerns with granting this request? No. We have a draft resolution, I believe.
Motion to approve a one-year extension for site plan 63-2019 and special use permit 3-2019, 10 Duns Bay Road LLC.
Second.
We have an approval, motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Maria, can you call the vote for us, please?
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Hunzinger?
Yes.
Mr. Dowd?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. Dean?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Traver?
Yes. All right, they're all set. Next, we move to the regular part of our agenda. The first is a tabled item of unapproved development. Camp Knox LLC, Ballas, site plan modification, 29-2020. Laura?
So this applicant was tabled at the meeting previous, back in September or August to this time, and the applicant has met with Warren County Soil and Water as well as the LGA to go through a planting plan, and so that planting plan has been presented to you with descriptions, and I have it, I'll have it up on the board in a second.
Okay, is the applicant here this evening? Good evening, welcome back.
Hi.
Thank you. Good evening. Good to be back in front of you all today. Thanks for hearing our proposal again. Now, as you know, we were at the August 25th meeting, and we agreed to table it, and we were going back to the drawing board to come up with a new plan, which we have in front of you here today, which we submitted. In fact, you know, we really wanted to make sure we put together a good plan, so what we immediately did was, when we got back, we reached out to the Warren County Soil Water Conservation District, as well as the Lake George Association. And I think it's worth noting, because there was a letter submitted, we reached out to the water keeper as well by email and phone, and we did not hear back from him. So, but we, you know, had great feedback from these two groups. Marin Alexander from Soil and Water actually came out to our property. We walked it, we went through everything that was existing, and we had a very good conversation going forward with that in developing this plan. We also worked with Kristen Wild from the Lake George Association, who we sent her over all our plantings, and you know, she gave us the approval on that, all non-invasive, and you know, said it would provide a nice buffer along the lake. So before we get going here, I just want to be clear, because I know we keep hearing the word unapproved. We purchased the house in May of 2018. We got our CO the end of 2018, and at that time we had an inherited landscape plan, which we did follow. We followed everything on it, and it was approved. So, you know, we got our inspections, came out. It's a 100% approved plan. Now, all we're looking to do from that approved plan is make a few modifications, and this.
And the reason that it's classified as unapproved is that you began those modifications before you got approval to do so.
Understood. Yeah.
That's where that comes from.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Yep. So I just want to go over. We're actually kind of seeking three things. The plan we inherited, it really wasn't conducive to the existing conditions around the lake. We told you before, the plants got planted in November, December. A lot of them died. There's a big deer population around there. A lot of them got eaten. So we wanted to redo all the plantings. So that's one item we're looking for, is to revegetate our entire buffer. And we actually did, along with our narrative, we have all the plants that we came up with a list, working with Soil and Water.
And we also have the correspondence between the
Yep.
George Association and Soil and Water.
Yes, so we submitted all of that into you. So that's number one. We're looking to revegetate all that, and you can actually see on the plan we provided kind of exactly where we're going to be doing all that. Number two is a patio. So we had an approved Riverstone patio, which was there. And all we're looking to do here is simply put paver blocks over that existing approved patio. It is a permeable patio, so it's really not having any further impact than it does with just having the Riverstone. And we still are above the town requirements of the 75% permeability. Even with adding that, we're at 76.4% permeability. And then the last area we're looking for is we're looking to have a little small grass area on that lower level. You can see from that drawing, it's about 15 feet. And you know, the reason for that is it's a nice flat area. We had said it before. We have 2 young kids, and it's a nice area for kind of kids to play on and enjoy. So those are the only 3 things we're looking to change from our approved plan. Are those 3 items. So as you see, we did come up with that list with Soil and Water and the Lake George Association. So this was at their suggestion, is what we did is we wanted to get a robust list that had all non-invasive species and are conducive to, you know, provide a nice buffer and grow along the lake. So that list was developed with them. So what we're going to do come springtime is work with a landscaper, work with a nursery, and we're going to come up with a planting plan to pick from that list. And the reason why they wanted us to kind of name a bunch of species is that due to COVID, some aren't growing as much anymore, some may not be growing well that spring. So we wanted a nice big list to work with a nursery and work with a landscaper, and we're going to pick from the list we provided you to come up with the planting plan in the spring. But we gave you all the counts for each species and what we're looking to do with that. So, you know, we really did. We took all the suggestions and recommendations from the board and the public and feel we came up with a solid plan. Just to further expand upon that, we know one of the main goals with the town is to eliminate water runoff into the lake from your property. I'd say that could be the number 1 goal. And in working with them, I mean, we really did solve this. We can assure we do not have any water runoff we don't have it now, and with this plan, it's just gonna make it even better. And to top that off, just to let you know, so our house is about 85 feet from the lake. We got an 85-foot setback. We have a newer septic system, which is actually in the front of our house. So that septic system is about 110 feet plus from the lake. So that's in good shape. And we also have 2 dry wells installed on the property. So our gutter systems from the house all tie into the dry wells. We have no water runoff from the house whatsoever. And actually, as you come down from the house, you can see in the drawing, we have 2 other 9 to 10 foot buffers. So we tiered it. So as you know, water that hits the surface can come down. It'll hit that first buffer 9 to 10 feet. Then there's another buffer of 9 to 10 feet. And then we have our main buffer there. So, I mean, we can assure you, like, if we don't have one of the best water management systems, like, on the lake and Assembly Point, I mean, it's got to be top 5. Like, we worked tirelessly to get this house to a point. I mean, I think we all know the history that people brought up at the previous meeting. We didn't realize all the history. We knew there was some of that, but we didn't realize the extent of it when we purchased it. And we really did work hard to clean everything up, come up with a solid plan. We have a couple letters of support from the neighbors. One's an immediate abutter, another one that lives down the road. And in fact, he even mentions how we cleaned up this whole laundry list of problems that the house had. So we really did work hard with all that. You know, we do understand we have opposition, and they're probably going to get up here and say, what happened 14 years ago? This was 14 years ago when this property supposedly got cut. We have nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with that. The fact is we purchased it in 2018. We did our renovations. We did the work for the landscape plan that was approved. And now we're just simply looking to alter a few things from that plan after being in there a couple of years, and we want to make it more, you know, conducive to the conditions around the lake. We brought in the consultants and feel we came up with a really solid plan. So I guess we're just asking the board tonight if we can just focus on the proposal, because we all understand the history, and that's in the past, and we really did work hard to get where we are today. And we're working off an approved plan, and we hope you like the plan. And with that, we're certainly happy to take any questions.
Well, we certainly appreciate that you heard our feedback the last time you were here, and it's clear that you did put some effort into addressing some of the issues that were raised, so we very much appreciate that.
No problem.
I'll open it up for questions, comments from members of the board. They do have supportive correspondence from,
I would like to say thank you. I know it's a long trip. I think you live in Massachusetts and you're over. You did listen to us. And you did inherit, but it wasn't your fault. And we all see that. I was very pleased to see this. And for the patio, the pavers over the stone, I'm happy with that. If you're not removing the stones, just putting the patio block over the top.
It looks a lot nicer too. The stone, as you know, unless you're containing it, spreads out, and I mean, I can assure you.
It's
like,
hard to walk on.
And it's permeable too, so we're not making it any less permeable than it is with that.
All right, so I know you have a good sub base underneath the stone to take, watershed that, so, I don't have, but I just want to thank you for doing this. I know it was a lot of work to do, and I'm sure it was, quite a price too, getting all these people involved, and I believe, is Chris back there in the corner? Nope, he is in here, so he'll have a chance to speak if you do, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Appreciate that.
other questions, comments, members of the board? We do have a public hearing on this application. Are there folks in the audience that want to address the board on this application? I see a couple. Chris, I think your hand was up first. Chris Novinsky. Oh, thank you for remembering.
Good evening, Board.
Good
Chris
evening.
Nowitzki, Lake George Waterkeeper. I want to thank you for your continued review on this application and thank the applicant for their effort. I do believe that they did contact my office shortly after the meeting. I believe I was away on a vacation, and a lot of times if I don't hear a second call back, then I'm not sure if the project's going forward, but I apologize to them, and they did reach out. I feel, again, that the planning board should not approve hardscape within the shoreline buffer zone and should require the restoration of the buffer to the requirements of 179-840. If you take a look at the application, 70% of the buffer requirement is what's being proposed. So 30% of the requirement will not be provided. The letter from Soil and Water Conservation District is a recommendation letter. They also recommend a couple other landscape improvements on the property that I don't think are part of this application. I still have a question when this patio, stone patio, was approved. I've followed this application since 2006. I don't know when that patio was actually approved. If you go back, I think the most recent modification to my records was back 2014, and that was not part of the approved plan by this board. So I'm still not sure where that patio came from. And we just think it would be good. They referenced how good the stormwater management plan was, and I'm just think that should be certified for the record. So thank you very much.
I'm sorry, the stormwater plan should what?
To be certified that it was constructed as per, and just to be certified. I don't know whether, I think that was a requirement back, and I don't know whether that actually was certified to the town, so.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. While Chris is cleaning the mic, I'll also announce a reminder to people watching us on the YouTube channel that if they wish to call in and make public comment on this site plan 29-2020, that they should call area code 518-761-8225. And yes, sir.
My name is John Collins. I live at 35 Knox Road, so just down the road from the applicant's site. I want to thank the board for all their hard work they've done in developing the current regs, which work to further protect the lake. And this effort was done before recent events, the recent hazardous algal bloom. When you look at the recent events, we should be reviewing the application in light of that. These events should be viewed as a clarion call to property owners and all lake stewards that even minor variances, when viewed in their aggregate impact on the lake, is significant. It appears to me as I review the file that the focus of the comments by the representatives of the Lake George Association and Warren County Soil and Water were centered on the types of plantings that should be appropriate for the location without specifically addressing the current town regs related to the buffer and the two-story concept. My main concerns are centered around that. This has nothing to do with the problems of the property in the last 14 years. They have to do with the conditions of the property today, based on what was approved in the past, unauthorized changes made, and now we are finally dealing with algal blooms on the lake. So we really have to pay attention. Each property for all variances. We no longer have the luxury to be able to just let small things slide. Everything is important. And the town has spent a lot of time to come up with a 35-foot buffer and the two-storied canopy concept. So in my mind, the focus should be on that. And then also the hardscape, the pavers. I wasn't able to find where that was approved either. In addition, the applicant has not provided any evidence of proof of hardship if they were required to fully comply with the regs as they exist today. They just don't want to. Therefore, I am requesting that the applicant be required to resubmit their plan in full compliance with the current regs. And even, by the way, if you went back to the plantings that they actually did in the past that died off, there were trees along the birches and maples planted along the shoreline, and there are no new trees planted down there in the current plan. There is no time pressure to approve this plan today. As the applicant has stated, they're not going to be purchasing the plantings and trees until the spring. So they have time to address the plan in full compliance with the regs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Laura, are there any written comments?
Comments from previous, and they are previously read into the record.
There are no new comments?
The only new comment was from the waterkeeper, and he stated his comments earlier.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wanted to address the planning board on this application? Not seeing anyone else. We haven't gotten any phone calls. I guess we can close the public hearing. Questions, comments from members of the board? And the applicant, I'm sorry, you can come back up to the mic.
Well, certainly the comment that was just made about the algal bloom is very disconcerting,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, that was
I
Harris
agree,
Bay.
we need to, yeah.
If I could state, there was impact. The main location of the hazardous algal bloom was in the Harris Bay along the eastern side of Assembly Point. But there was algae that came out and around and went all the way down past our house. You can see it in the water. So,
Yeah, there was, I mean, we've obviously heard about this as well. I mean, there was nothing from our property that caused this. I mean, there was nothing viewable from our property. that contain this.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's and we don't want to get into a long scientific discussion about the problems of the algae bloom, but I think it's generally agreed that it's not in this case, it's not a single site source issue. It's a sort of a global situation.
Cumulative issue.
Where we continue to try to improve the environmental impact on the lake.
Yep, no, it's understood.
We had some warm water and various other things that contributed to that. But the point is well taken about the buffering. Other comments, questions?
Well, I guess I have a question.
Yeah.
Does this plan as proposed by the applicant meet town code for buffering Lake George or not?
So I can interject with that a little bit.
Yeah.
So in reference to the town code, this item under shoreline buffering, there's not a specific, does this applicant have to have 5 trees? That's not how it's worded in this section of code. It's a guidance. So that decision is up to the board to say, is this adequate, reasonable to be used as a shoreline buffer as presented? And that's why I provided in the staff notes the guidance about what the numbers could be.
And Laura, there was a question about this stone patio. Have you, and this came up the last time in August as well, have you found any evidence of a prior approval for that?
So with the patio, this project site was code compliant, and my understanding is that patio was presented at that time, whether it be, maybe that was something that was discussed between the applicant and the zoning administrator at that time. I'm not certain of that, but I know that our code compliance officer signed off on this project.
Okay.
Yeah, so the original drawing, which I did submit to everyone, I mean, you can see it right in here. Riverstone, number 2, free draining Riverstone.
Well, thank you, but we're not really looking for a drawing. We're looking for some record of
Well, this was the approved drawing that they went off of to get approved.
Okay, thank you.
And we did submit that to you. So, yeah, I mean, it's what was on the drawing and what we put in and what got approved, so.
So it was signed off on.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah, it was, yep. Yeah, we got our CO at the end of 2018. And just to add to that too, so what we did was we brought in the same amount of plants, and it's actually gonna be more plants than we have on the other approved one. So we brought back in the same number. We actually have 15 large trees that are down in the buffer currently, and then we're adding the 55 larger trees, smaller trees, large shrubs, and 100 herbaceous plants. And that puts us, it's actually, with the ones that didn't die, it's actually gonna exceed what we had there before that was approved.
I had a question to that. So on your plan here, the 15 are the cedar, the spruce, the hemlocks, locust, red maple, red pine, the 2 white pines. But Mr. Collins, I think I heard you say that there are no new trees proposed here? Is that what you said?
I wasn't aware that there was new trees, but I was also referring to trees that had been existing that got cut down, which were 2 maples and a birch were right in front.
No, I understood that, but then I heard you say after that, that there are no new trees being proposed. But that's what this plan is.
No, these are existing trees, the ones you see on the
That's what
site.
I-
Those are there right now.
All right.
Those are all that, we have 15 large trees in the buffer right
So
now.
there are in fact no new trees being proposed beyond what is there right now?
Correct, because per the
For large trees, but then you're talking about smaller.
Yes, so yeah, per the city guidelines of, if we were to go by the code of what's in a buffer, it would, and Laura put it in the notes, I believe it was 5 large trees or 6. So we're actually more than double the amount of large trees in the buffer right now. And now it's a matter of adding in the shrubs and the herbaceous plants.
And your plan would do that in the spring, obviously.
Yes, yep, so like I said, we'd work with the nursery, so that list we got you, we would pick out of that list, which was developed with the 2 groups there.
If I could ask, how are you defining the buffer? Because you're drawing up here the buffer is.
So we close the public hearing.
Closed, yeah.
Close the public hearing, sir, thank you.
Are these photographs accurate?
That was when we purchased the property, what it looked like.
Well, the staff note says there are 15 large trees there now that will remain.
Yep,
Yes.
so we own both
All
tree
of
lines.
That wooded lot, the woods on the side.
We own both tree lines, so
So they're on the side.
that's not our full lot, they're on the side, correct? Yeah, so we own, it's about 15 feet, the tree line to the north of us, or I'm sorry, 20 feet to the north of us, 15 feet to the south of us. So both those tree lines are our property.
So the buffer by the lake will include new large trees?
We're not proposing any new large trees because we have 15 of them in the buffer currently. So what we're adding is the small trees, large bushes, and herbaceous plants.
I hear what you're saying. The point is there'll be no new trees in that view.
That was what was so
Correct.
heated last time, and what everyone was upset about was that that was clear cut about
Which,
14 years ago.
yeah, that had nothing to do with us, the cut, that's how we purchased the property.
right.
But there
We didn't
is,
clear
in the
anything.
buffer, there is 15 large trees currently there
Right along the corners.
on the sides.
But my point is there will be no large trees planted in that view.
Not in that
That's
view.
where we have the
But we're gonna have a lot of the
155 other
smallers.
plants.
Such as?
I have the whole,
They're all right here, John.
yeah, they're all on a list.
Can you read that?
I can read you all the list if you like.
I couldn't read that plan.
So I think that some of what we're hearing as far as concern, probably could be
I have that, I can't read it.
remediated with a minor change in your planting plan, and that is that you have, on either side, as reflected in that photograph and in this diagram, you have some large trees on the side, and you're talking about putting in some undergrowth and so on, sort of in the center. We heard talk about the two-level concept. That has to do with the management of the rainwater and sunlight and so on. So if you could add, perhaps on either side of the path, a couple of more trees to fill in that gap in the center, would you consider doing that?
We consider that, yeah.
Okay. So how does the board feel about that? If they add, say, 2 trees on either side of that path that's going down the center of the road on the shoreline buffer, maybe halfway between the, obviously between the lake and the end of the edge of the buffer? Take some liberty here and say a couple of trees here, a couple of trees there. Would that?
Yes.
That would certainly make it more robust and handle the water better, although the soils here, from what I understand, are
Where are you adding the trees?
what's that?
Where are you adding the trees?
Where?
Near the stone patio on either side of the walkway. But off, you wanted to fill this right here, right, Steve? Like in this area, in that area?
Yeah. Yes, that was,
First you said 2 trees, and then you said 4 trees, so.
2 on either side.
well,
If I
I'll put it
may.
out there.
Sorry,
Well,
if I may.
they got, to me, I think we're getting a little carried away here, but that's just my opinion. But, I mean, they got a good buffer on either side, and they're putting in 155 planting in the middle, and they got 2 tiers coming down.
You know, we actually have
Yeah,
a total of 53 feet of buffer.
If I may, we
you
are
add it up.
solving the problem here, and I know that this property brings up a lot of ill feelings, and it's because it was wooded at one point and it got clear cutted.
Well, we're not, to
But
be
it-
honest with you, we're not concerned about the past. We're just trying to, since you're already involved in
Right,
rectifying the situation and putting in a good shoreline buffer, hopefully you won't have to address it in the future. So my thought is, and again, I'm not speaking for everyone on the board, but my thought is, you've got nice trees here and here. You're obviously putting in some low-level plantings here, which is great. So my thought was, while you're at it, it wouldn't take much, it doesn't seem to me, to add a couple of full-size trees in here, and when they fill out, it's going to provide a multi-layer buffer, which is really the intent of the buffering in terms of helping the lake. And with all the work that you put into it, it doesn't seem like adding a few trees would be too much more.
No, not too much more, but it would, I mean, block our view that when we purchased the property, we really enjoyed about it, and we had nothing to do with the view or the clear cutting that happened. We want to solve the problem that's the runoff and create buffers, and I think that we do that with everything that we put into the property before and then the stuff that we're adding to it. I wouldn't be opposed to looking into that, but
Yeah, because, I mean, we actually do have more than double the required large trees than is in the Queensbury code. And then we're looking to, add all the other plants.
Can I ask a question? What are the plantings that you have on the two other buffers? I see, what is it, a WC?
Yeah, they're coded, which I don't know all that. They're like, I mean, it's bushes, and then there's like some smaller herbaceous plants. I don't know exactly what they are, to be honest, but both of those buffers are filled with plants. So, as you mentioned, we do, as you come down from the house, we actually have 53 feet of actual buffers with plants, and, well, once we finish planting.
Well, that's what I thought from, when I looked at it. I mean, my personal opinion is that, with those two upper buffers and the lower one, and one of keeping that little spot in between on either side, we shouldn't be asking them to close off their view with all the plantings that they put in there. And 155 plants is a lot of plants to be putting all around that, so.
And it does say smaller trees and large shrubs. Those are
Right.
gonna grow over time.
Yeah, those will get bigger,
So,
yeah.
I feel like they are perfectly fine as is.
So you're happy with what they?
I am.
I don't think we need to add
I'm
any
happy.
bonus to their, they've done a lot
And I
to
agree
do
with
this.
that,
And
so that's like.
there's more than enough tree plantings in there to satisfy the guidance issues. So I don't think we need to create any more burden on them.
Okay, how do other board members feel? Do you feel their planting plan is adequate, or they need to add more trees?
No comment.
Speak now or forever hold your
Yeah.
peace.
I mean, they have a proposal in front of us. Should we just vote and see how it goes?
Please.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Does anyone have any other questions or comments for the applicant before we consider a motion? Okay, we did the public hearing. Why don't we go ahead and go with the draft resolution?
Motion to approve site plan modification 29-2020 Camp Knox LLC / Ballas. Further draft provided by staff conditioned upon the following. 1, waivers request granted. 2, the approval is valid for 1 year from the date of approval. Applicant is responsible for requesting an extension of approval before the 1-year time frame has expired if the applicant has not yet applied for a building permit or commenced significant site work. 3, adherence to the items outlined in the follow-up letter sent with this resolution, including items A through G.
I'll second it.
We have an approval motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Can I suggest something? The applicant indicated that they would have the planting plan done by the spring of 2021.
Add that as a condition?
You could potentially add that as a condition.
Should we say May? You think you'd have it done by May, or you want June?
I would say June.
Yeah, do June, just given the.
I would say June.
June's good.
I'm sorry, Laura, you said something?
I was thinking June or the end of the summer, based on not knowing what's happening with COVID, not knowing what our weather condition's going to be like with winter, how long that will last. So I was
We
almost thinking
compromised it August.
Well, the only concern, I guess, that I would have is if the buffer is not completed, it leaves some exposure, so.
Yeah.
If they plan on doing it in the spring, why don't we make it June? Can we add a condition that the buffer be completed by June?
The end
Of
of June or the
2021?
1st of June?
What's that?
The end of June or the 1st of
Yes,
June?
end of June.
Yeah, the end of June, by the end of June.
End of June.
Well, I'm asking for
June's a good-
clarification.
June's a
Yeah,
good
good
growing
point.
month, so.
End of June.
All right,
So June 30, 2021.
Amended resolution, items A through G and H, planning plan to be completed by June 30th, 2021.
I'll second the amended motion.
All right, we have an amended motion. Is there any discussion on the amended motion? Maria, can you call the vote for us, please?
Mr. Benzinger?
Yes.
Mr. Owen?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. Deeb?
Yes?
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Good luck,
All
folks.
right, you're all set?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
would
you-
Appreciate
thank
it.
you,
Thank you.
Do you want copies of this?
No, we're good.
You sure? All right. Have a safe trip back.
Certainly.
All right, the next section of our agenda is planning board recommendations to the ZBA. And the first item is Stewart Shops Corporation Site Plan Modification 50-2020. Laura?
Okay, the application is to place a 280 square foot generator shed at the rear of the property. This is considered a modification because this wasn't part of the original proposal. They're relocating the 10 by 10 shed to one of the parking spaces. I did try to explain in the staff notes that they're still compliant with their parking even though they're losing one space, and no other changes to the site are proposed.
And the variance is basically because of the setback, right?
Correct,
10 feet from the property line as opposed to the requirement of 25 feet.
correct.
And is there someone here for the applicant?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening, Chris Potter from Stewart's. As Laura said, we're looking to build a closure for some generators that we're looking to store on site for the shops in the area in case there's power outages that we can dispatch out to those shops that would have long-term power outages. And this is a central location based on other locations that we already have these at. So this would kind of infill an area that we don't have generators in. So there's an existing 10 by 10 shed in that location currently. We would just move that over onto the blacktop on the opposite side of the dumpster enclosure and then kind of hide that in between the row of trees that are there and the dumpster enclosure.
Okay. And because of the nature of the lot, the parking lot, and where you want to put it, that's why you need the variance?
Yeah, there's really no other locations on the site that would, I guess, work well, to have, it's a generator on a trailer that our maintenance people would tow with a van. So you need some maneuverable space to be able to back it in there and get it out, so.
So these wouldn't be running, they'd just be,
It's strictly for storage.
they're just sitting there? Okay.
Yep, and then if there was a power outage, in the area,
Yeah.
and it was gonna be for a long time, then they would get taken out and brought to the shops that were out of power.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, so it'd be used on more than, it wouldn't necessarily just for this site?
Nope,
Any-
not just for that site, yep, there'd be,
Okay.
they'd house like 2 generators there that are in trailers, and they would tow them out to shops that would need them.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, I thought, like you did, Steve, I thought they were gonna be for
Yeah.
the shop.
What
Right.
size-
Running,
What size,
and that was the concern, is how the neighbors
what
gonna
size
like. what's the-
KWs?
Yeah,
I'm not sure what they house.
I mean, they gotta run the whole store, just the registers?
No, usually what they house is one that would run everything, and then one that would just kinda, you would flip stuff on and off. So, it would run the coolers and freezers and like registers, and then, you could swap off the cooler and freezer, just to maintain temperatures.
Gas pump still run?
With the large generator that would run everything,
Wow.
yep.
so you're here tonight for the variance, actually, as opposed to site plan. So does anyone have any issues with the request for the setback relief?
Does that, but I think the variance would tie into one question, is there's a loss of a parking space.
Right.
Does that create another variance?
No,
Well, I
it does
think that
not.
They need 30.
Laura already said that.
Who said that?
Laura,
Laura just said that.
she said that already.
She did, did I miss that?
Yeah, get your hair out of your ears.
I'm glad you guys are having fun.
Crowd here tonight.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, they do lose the space, but they're still compliant,
Still
so.
compliant. But it costs you more to come in here and get it done than just implant the whole thing, right?
Look, I'm going home and take my toys with me.
All right, well, if no one has an issue, then we'll send this along to the ZBA.
Motion to make recommendation on behalf of the planning board to the zoning board of appeals for area variance number 40-2020, Stewart Shops Corporation. The planning board, based on limited review, has not identified any significant adverse impacts that cannot be mitigated with the current project proposal.
Second.
We have a referral motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Maria, can you call the vote for us, please?
Hunsinger,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes,
Valentine,
Yes.
Kadeem,
Yes.
Ms. White,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Faber.
Yes. All right, you're off to the ZBA.
ZBA.
Next, also under planning board recommendations, we have Peter Sheehan, co-trustee, site plan 51-2020. Laura?
So the application is for a 224 square foot sunroom addition. The sunroom addition will also have an open deck above, and the relief requested is being sought for their setbacks to the shoreline.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Board. I'm Tom Hutchins, here on behalf of Peter Sheehan, and Peter's also here with us. Peter's the owner or trustee of 31 Birch Road. This is a site that our office did a site plan for. We started it in 2012, and this board had approved a site plan for a rebuild of this residence. Or his parents actually built a beautiful residence there, and their needs have kind of adjusted a little bit, and they're proposing to build a single screen room on the shore side of the residence, which will be a single-story enclosed room, sunroom, we're calling it, lots of windows, with a roof and a deck above that's accessed from the main floor, from the second floor. Just due to the layout of the site and the way the geometry with the roof lines on the existing building work, in order to get the space that's workable for them, we're at 45.5 feet, 45.6 feet from map shoreline of Glen Lake. I would add that the property is very well maintained. The shoreline is very well buffered. I hope you had a chance, you probably didn't have a chance yet to go and get a look at it, but it's very well buffered. It's very neat. It's got a modern septic system. We designed it. It's got modern stormwater controls that all work very well, and we're here tonight to ask your support with a recommendation to the zoning board to ask for relief from shoreline. And with that, I turn it over for questions.
And the relief is 4.4 feet?
4.4 feet, yes.
So 50 feet is the requirement, and this now would be 45.6 feet from the shoreline.
Correct.
Okay, questions, comments from members of the board?
yeah, I was looking at the print, I remember the old Sheehan house when we grew up as kids there. But, really, I kind of liked the design. It was like, it really kind of like fit in there. I did like, I like the buffering zone and what you've done, so. I think it would be I don't have an issue with it, no.
So what we're looking at this evening, as with the previous application, is the variance is the discussion for this evening for the referral. And again, it's 4.4 feet, 45.6 feet versus a 50-foot requirement. There is no public hearing for this, this point in the application.
So I mean, it's really an issue for the zoning board, but when I looked at that, my first thought was, well, why did you turn the long way toward the lake? If you had turned it the other way, you would require 2 feet less of a variance.
Yeah, the issue becomes with the roof line and the way the water's stripped. There's no gutters on the building, it's dropping into eave trench.
Okay.
The issue becomes with the roof line, there's a couple valleys there, and there's a sort of half octagon on an angle thing that's got a valley roof that would impact with the deck if it was rotated. That's why.
I mean, again, that's the zoning board's determination, you know, we don't approve the variance, we approve the site plan, so, I didn't think it was gonna affect the site plan, but, that was,
Yeah, I expect.
like I said, it was my first.
I expect
thought.
that we'll hear that question
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments? Does anyone have any concerns about the variance? Okay, we have a draft resolution, or referral, I should say.
Motion to make a recommendation on behalf of the planning board to the zoning board of appeal for area variance number 42-2020. Peter Sheehan, co-trustee. The planning board, based on limited review, have not identified any significant adverse impacts that cannot be mitigated with the current project proposal.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? Maria, can you call the vote for us, please?
McGowan,
Yes.
Yes.
Kadeem,
Yes.
Ms. White,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. Hunsinger,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're up to the ZBA.
Thank you, folks.
We move to the next section of our agenda, which is under new business. The first application under new business is Jeffrey and Joanne Mann, subdivision sketch plan 14-2020. Laura?
So this application for discussion is for a 6-lot residential subdivision in an RR3A zone. It includes Bay Road and Pickle Hill Road. And I've identified some of the code excerpts from rural residential 3 acres and then the rural residential design requirements.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. For the record, Lucas Doby with Hutchins Engineering. With us also in the back row is our clients, Jeff and Joanne Mann. They've owned the property since 2003, and they built their home on the easterly adjoining parcel, parcel 23.3, which is 6.3 acres, currently for sale. So they're quite honestly trying to simplify their lives. And their daughter graduated last year and looking to sell the big house. And then also their approximately 35 acres, which comprises our proposed subdivision. In addition, they own a flag lot of 17 acres just to the east of their existing home, which is also for sale. So that's not part of this project, but possibly something in the future. And we're proposing the subdivision. Quite honestly, there's somewhat of a limited market for this big of a parcel in the Lake George area, town of Queensbury, a very desirable area. So it's certainly many more potential buyers for a 5-acre lot than a 35-acre lot. So they've looked at doing a project for some years now. They did a preliminary layout that didn't make it very far, is my understanding, in 2007. And we basically resurrected that plan and are looking to move forward with it. With the zoning rewrite in 2009, the lot width requirements doubled, as did the setbacks, which are much more restrictive. So they've somewhat been zoned out, if you will. So we're going to ask for the relief from the zoning board to go from 400 feet of lot width and road frontage to 300 feet, which we still believe is very reasonable, not encumbering upon the neighborhood at all, in our opinion, because we have such good amount of acreages and a good depth to it. So the homes will be set back quite a ways off of Pickle Hill Road, approximately 500 feet of driveway. And then to minimize our road cuts, we're proposing two shared driveways off of Pickle Hill for those 4 lots. And then the 2 lots off of Bay Road will have their own driveways. So we're very happy with the design so far. We've got a lot of work to do to get to our preliminary phase with survey work and topography and all of our engineering, but we wanted to take a nice first step with the board and would appreciate your feedback as we go forward. So thank you for having us.
Okay,
So the previous plan, what were the issues expressed then? Was it topography?
I think just the project never materialized,
Okay.
Mr. Hunsinger, that's all.
Yeah,
Didn't have any issues, just
Correct,
got it off the ground.
okay,
correct.
yeah. I mean, I see the stream crossing, and you avoided that, so, you know, and there is some good slopes in that area, but.
That may be something I was missing. I was gonna ask you, why you didn't put the shared driveways at the common property lines? Is that, I mean, if I have one of the 2 houses, right in the middle, you got both driveways are on that one lot, whereas if you put it at the common property line, you could split the driveway off. For the 4 lots, you could work that both of them that way. And I didn't know if there was a reason why. And then Chris mentioned topography and stream flow, and I didn't know what was there.
No, and your point's very well taken, Mr. Valentine. It's, again, a very just preliminary design, but we'll incorporate that into our full design. So that would work quite well.
Especially lots 1 and 2. I mean, there's no reason to not put the driveway
Yeah.
at the.
Numbers or which, but I just seen those 4 things.
Yeah, obviously it would make sense here. That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
And then
Here
3
they'd
and
have to
4.
Cross the street, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, thank you.
Lucas, the keeping it to 2 curb cuts on Pickle Hill, is that driven by site distance requirements or just the concept of 2 instead of 4?
No, that's just, I've got all kinds of sight distance with it being straight, and it's just, if I lived in there, I would rather see 2 road cuts as opposed to 4, certainly.
So vertical curves are not a problem?
Not till we get way towards Bay Road when it starts up the hill real steep, so we're quite a ways east of that.
So you'd have to have maintenance agreements in the deeds or something?
Yes, correct, be reciprocal easements and stormwater maintenance, that kind
Have you done any test pits or perk tests?
I have not, but based upon it's a cornfield, the majority of it on Pickle Hill, and when I walked it with the park agency biologist in September, it's quite sandy, nice red dirt, real sandy. When
Jeff's been there a while too. I mean,
Pardon, sir?
Jeff has been there a while.
Yes.
In that area, so I mean, we didn't know. If there was any problems.
How about the big lot on Bay Road? What's I mean, that's quite a hill.
Yes, as I understand it, there used to be a house pretty close to Bay Road once upon a time where the clearing is. And we need to do our site topography work there to get a better feel, but it certainly is quite steep to the west, so we're trying to stay on the flatter ground as feasible.
But it looks like, I mean, you certainly have enough room to, if it is steep, to put a driveway in without it being ridiculous. You're not going to be going straight up. I mean, you have it drawn so you can use the contour of the land.
Correct.
any other feedback for the sketch plan?
I have to say, Lucas, I really like when you bring out these preliminaries. I mean, you put in some thought, and some of the ones you've done in the past have really turned out nice. And I just have to say kudos to Jeffrey and Joanne. Jeffrey, about time you decided to slow down, damn it. But no, I didn't realize you own that much there, and but it really is. I really like the idea of the shared driveway on the common lines. If that was, you know, one of the things that caught my eye is that, you know, especially the middle one there, lot 3. you know, whoever buys that one and say lot 4 is a, you know, a busy house and they just, all those cars, you know, in and out, you know, shining up at the house. So, I mean, if you could split them off and wire them that would be great. But, I like the size lots. I know that lot 6 is a tough one. And I'm trying to remember, I think I remember a house that used to be there, or at least the foundation, I think, that used to, going back into the 70s and the 80s, but,
With the sharing a good time?
yeah, sharing good times, yeah. And, just read about that today. It's, you know, maybe we can't drink at bars anymore. Maybe we need to go back to the woods, huh? That's where we all started. But no, I think this is I like the project. I think you're gonna go back and tweak it a little bit more and really present something nice here.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions for us?
I don't believe so. I think we've done enough of these over the years. We're pretty comfortable with the process and what you're looking for, and
Good.
and we're going to get to work on it over the winter. So thank you very much for having me.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks for bringing it in. Let's see, next under new business, we have Michael and Judith McMahon, site plan 52-2020. Laura?
So this application is demo with the existing home and garage and construct a new home of 3,630 square feet floor area and a footprint of 2,605 square feet. I'm just going to let them explain the rest of it. I don't.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
Stood out.
Hello again.
Hello, Tom Hutchins, for the record, on behalf of Michael and Judith McMahon. The McMahons own the property at 28 Bay Parkway. This is a site that this board looked at 2017, I believe. What we're showing you now is very similar. The footprint is the same as the residence that we showed you when you approved back in 2017. It is a different owner. They've made some changes to the interior layout of the home, but it's the same footprint. We're proposing to remove an existing residence that's 11.5 feet from Lake George. And it's kind of neat and it's kind of strange and it's kind of past its time. So we're going to take that residence that's, again, 11.5 feet from the lake and remove it and put in a fully compliant structure. We believe to be fully compliant in terms of setbacks, FAR, permeability, everything. Brand new septic, enhanced treatment. We've new stormwater controls. We've shown the full 35-foot buffering per your new standards. And we're pretty pleased with this plan, and we turn it over to the board for comment.
Okay, and before we do comment, I want to remind folks that may be viewing us this evening on the YouTube channel that we do have a public hearing on this application, so I'll let you know in advance that if you plan on calling in and commenting on this, the number to call is area code 518-761-8225. And open it up for members of the board for questions and comment.
Tom, I need a pen. I need a pen, do you know where one is?
It's quite a transformation of this property there.
Yeah.
It is. And that, you know, the old garage that's there is 5 feet from the road. So we're gonna fix that problem too.
So you mentioned an approval in 2017?
Yes. I think it was 2017, yeah.
Yeah, it said site.
Yeah, it was in the staff notes.
It was under a different name.
Gotcha.
It was under Gardner.
Okay, I think I remember that.
Yeah, me too.
All Are there folks in the audience that want to address the planning board on this application? I see a hand from the water keeper, if you want to come up.
It's actually on December 9th.
I just wanted to say clean Such a good job. There you go.
Thanks, Chris Novitsky, Lake George Waterkeeper. We'd really like to recognize the low-impact development concepts that they've put in on the project. It's good aspects of the project, pushing the house back, fully compliant shoreline buffer, really a short driveway on this. We would like to encourage the applicant to increase stormwater management, to decrease runoff and the nutrient impacts to the lake, especially in light of the recent harmful algal bloom, which is right off of the property. The applicant should consider providing stormwater management for runoff from the existing impervious area, which they take credit for. Proposal will only manage the runoff from the increase in impervious cover, and if we ever want to improve the water quality of Lake George, we need to address the runoff from the existing. So we would really encourage that they try to maybe make those rain gardens larger or some way that they can increase stormwater management. We have a question. They have permeable pavers on the driveways and on the patio, but the stone reservoir important for storage is twice as large on the patio than on the driveway, and we just had a question on that. And the one thing we're talking about nutrients, there are planning notes, and we recommend that they eliminate the note regarding composted manure. Then we really don't think that should be put in close proximity to the shoreline. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any written comments, Laura?
No, just Chris's.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience? We have not
Chased
received,
them all away.
we haven't received any phone calls on this, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. So you heard the comments from the waterkeeper. A little more stormwater for the existing impervious.
And I can comment on that one
Sure.
specifically. I'm not sure how Chris has looked at, this is designed, we have designed stormwater controls for the entire area of the new roof, the entire new driveway, the entire patio, and it's in accordance with Queensbury's criteria for stormwater within Lake George, for a minor stormwater project. We did not take a credit for prior impervious area. In other words, we didn't take the old impervious area and subtract it from our new impervious area and treat that area. We treated the new impervious area. Chris is mistaken, or I respectfully disagree with him on that point. As far as the driveway and the patio differences, yeah, we've got more storage under the patio because part of the building roof drains under the patio.
Oh, okay.
So there's additional area besides the area of the patio that's treated. And I'm fine with taking the manure out of the compost. I will use compost.
Yeah, the mulch
Compost is a recommended, and that's part of the blend for the soil mixture that provides the filtering and treatment within a rain garden. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of discussion recently about mulch and compost and so on as a source of nutrients for the lake. Mulch is a big one. Sometimes it's made out of, like ground up wood products and things like that. They even can have chemicals in them. And so we really try to get away from any of that stuff. And certainly the manure is obviously going to contribute nitrogen to the lake.
Well, yeah, and again, compost is part of the accepted blend of the mix in a rain garden, but I'm fine taking that out.
Okay, good, thank you.
Tom, Jason had some comments about the elevation of some of the infiltration devices.
not being 2 feet above sea.
Yeah, they had one there, and I've got to address that. I'll either have to, it was very close, but I may have to raise one of them up a little bit. But I was generally pleased with what came back from them. What?
I said it wasn't really a long letter.
No.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
This is an observation, and don't take it either way for you guys, but you guys sit together back there while there was other presentations being made. The two of you don't go over your comments that you're gonna make beforehand and say, I ironed some of these out or something like that, or you're aware of what this.
We generally don't talk about a lot of specific projects beforehand. I mean, we talk frequently. We work together on a number of wastewater projects in the lake, some fairly advanced ones.
Not a criticism, I was just thinking that you guys are.
But no, I don't call up Chris and say, hey, what do you think about this clinic?
You're gonna stay 6 feet apart right now, so you can't even talk.
They were the only two back there.
No, we communicate frequently, wouldn't we?
I just read the thing.
Okay, thanks.
If it does, I don't see it.
Throw his weight around like he likes to.
Any other comments, questions,
I'm sorry.
concerns?
Item D.
Item 1?
Item D.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How you doing? You have a resolution ready for us?
We sure do.
And you added the item on the
No, I didn't.
compost?
I didn't see
Did
it.
you close the public hearing?
Yes.
It is cool.
All right, so we are removing,
Part of the site plan, the current site plan calls for composting as part of the shoreline buffer, and that's not to be done, no composting or...
composting requirement to be eliminated.
I actually had to look for that one when he brought the comment up, because
I'm still looking.
wasn't remembering it. It's in the planting notes on S5. Yeah, I know, I had found it, but I had to look before the meeting.
No, Chris just wanted to make sure that you guys were communicating, you know?
Chris is making us work.
Mike made us feel so bad.
It's just, I mean, never mind.
All right. Motion to approve site plan 52-2020, Michael and Judith McMahon, according to the draft resolution prepared by staff as the following. 1, waivers requested granted. 2, the approval is valid for 1 year from the date of approval. Applicant is responsible for requesting an extension of approval before the 1-year time frame has expired if the applicant has not yet applied for a building permit or commenced significant site work. 3, adherence to the items outlined in the follow-up letter sent with this resolution, including items A through K and G. The planting note should be revised to eliminate the use of composted manure.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Maria, can you call the vote for us, please?
Mr. Deeb?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
McDowell?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Traver?
Yes. You're all set.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
I wanted to report a couple items to the board. One is that we had a technology committee meeting this evening right before the regular planning board. And I think we made some progress, including that the supervisor has indicated that he may try to get iPads for the rest of the board members. So that's something that you can look forward to in coming weeks. We had, I think, a good discussion about some enhancements to the iPads that are newly reissued for this new go-around for the iPad project. I think we made some progress there. We had a good discussion. And moving forward, we'll continue to see some progress. Laura reported too, she's been working hard with StoreTech on delivering the meeting documents to us, and they've come up with a methodology. I haven't myself tried it yet, but I will be probably later this evening, where instead of having to load individual documents, we can go to an off-site cloud storage and retrieve basically a packet, much like the stack of stuff that we get every month from the town. So that, I'm sure that will be very helpful, and we'll look forward to that. So I just wanted to express my appreciation to everybody who attended the meeting, and especially to Laura and John Stroud for coming and being so helpful to us there. And we look forward to moving forward with more progress. And also just a heads up from Laura that next month, I understand we're going to have a pretty busy agenda, so be prepared for that. Last but not least, Laura, something I forgot to ask you during our technology committee meeting. A few months ago, we had requested that we have the ability to change our default passwords on our email accounts. Have you made any progress on that?
I have not heard back from that, but I did bring it up again today.
Okay.
So,
Good.
I had not heard, and I had some other questions about, in regards to the iPad access.
Okay.
So that prompted me to say, what happened to the being able to change your password appropriately, as you usually do with any other company, but at the moment, you don't have authority to do that, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that's rather odd. I think that they have to send us a link, which you go to the link, and then that prompts you to enter your old password, and then propose a new password, enter that twice, and then that's the new. We used to be able to do that even on the town accounts, but for some reason maybe we didn't pay our bill one month or something, but we lost the ability to do that. But if you could follow up on that, I'd appreciate it, because that is really a security concern. And I apologize, I forgot to bring that up at the meeting. It was on my list.
Good question.
Is there anything else before the board tonight? Yeah.
Are we gonna do that training?
I am not doing training tonight.
No, not tonight. I mean, you're still gonna do that?
Oh, I'm gonna try to do that, or I'm gonna send out a PowerPoint so you can do it on your own. So that would be, there's workplace violence and sexual harassment training.
Brad, you hear that?
Took that for school, I'll take it again.
Doesn't sound like you want to do that next month, Laura.
Oh, wait a sec, Mike.
If we just had it.
Let me get the hair out of my ears. What'd you say,
We
sir?
already had it.
Yep, so let me just say this again. So this is for Mike's benefit, because I made a mistake on yours, is that if you have taken it, you can send me your certificate from your workplace so that we can check your box off.
Really?
Yeah.
How far back can you go?
I'll bring you mine in.
That's
We
fine.
all took it, I thought, once.
How far
I
back
took
can you
But
go?
this, now it's this year.
I just took
Within
it.
the year.
Oh,
I just took mine.
It's a
But I
refresher
just
course.
did it.
Gotcha.
I
I didn't realize they were all the same.
School, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, good. I'll just make copy of the certificate and bring it in. I'll bring it in next week for you.
That sounds good.
She's so thrilled, David.
Yeah, right.
is there,
I'm excited.
if there's no other business before the board, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Jay, stop rubbing it in
We
before I lose my cool, all right?
we stand adjourned.